record.
Okay. Yeah. It's the one thing I have sound effects for, and it's the one thing you do sound effects for.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are we doing a debate today or
So,
a discussion?
what do you want to do?
I guess we could do a debate. We haven't done one in a while.
Okay, are you pro or against?
What do you want to do? Do you have an opinion?
I mean, I don't think this is a real animal.
Fine, I'll be pro.
Okay.
Okay.
You'll be the Mulder.
So,
I'll be the Scully.
the animal for Cryptid Court today is the Steller's sea ape. It was observed by the German zoologist Georg Steller on August 10th, 1741, around the Shumagon Islands in Alaska. Shall I read the description that he wrote? I printed the whole,
Sure.
I like copied and pasted the entire description from his diary. Is that too much?
It's not that long though, is
No?
it?
Okay. So I'll pretend I'm Georg Steller, or you pretend I am, okay? I'm not going to do a
Okay.
German accent, so I'm sorry. Um,
Say it in German.
no. On August 10th, we saw a very unusual and unknown sea animal, of which I am going to give a brief account since I observed it for 2 whole hours. It was about 2 Russian ells in length, which is about 5 feet long. The head was like a dog's with pointed, erect ears. From the upper and lower lips on both sides, whiskers hung down. The eyes were large, the body was long, rather thick and round, tapering gradually towards the tail. The skin seemed thickly covered with hair, of a gray color on the back, but reddish white on the belly. In the water, however, the whole animal appeared red, like a cow. The tail was divided into 2 fins, of which the upper, as in the case of roosters, was twice as large as the lower. Nothing struck me as more surprising than the fact that neither forefeet nor in their stead fins were to be seen. For over 2 hours it swam around our ship, looking as with admiration, first at the one and then at the other of us. At times it came so near to the ship that it could have been touched with a pole, but as soon as anybody stirred it moved away a little further. It could raise itself 1/3 of its length out of the water exactly like a man, and sometimes it remained in this position for several minutes. After it had observed us for about half an hour, it shot like an arrow under our vessel and came up again on the other side. Shortly after, it dived again and reappeared in the old place, and in this way it dived perhaps 30 times. There it drifted by a seaweed, club-shaped and hollow at one end like a bottle, and gradually tapering at the other, towards which, as soon as it was sighted, the animal darted, seized it in its mouth, and swam with it to the ship, making such motions and monkey tricks that nothing more laughable can be imagined. After many funny jumps and motions, it finally darted off to sea and did not appear again. It was seen later, however, several times at different places of the sea. Yes. So what do you think?
So I think this may just be like a little joke
A joke.
by Mr. Stellar.
The serious zoologist, Mr. Steller. You're saying he's joking.
On this particular animal, possibly, because this wasn't published in his official documents. This was from his diary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was only published after his death. Whereas all the other animals, like the Stellar's sea cow and the Stellar's eagle,
Mm-hmm.
were published in his official
Well,
writings.
perhaps he felt too
The
embarrassed about the paucity, the very few, like, not very much information that he had about this animal. So, as a serious scientist and a serious man, he didn't want to publish it because he didn't have all the details he needed compared to the other animals that he gathered a lot of information
How much more information do they have on all the other animals?
on. Enough
Like a
to,
sea otter is a bit ridiculous if you've never heard of them before.
well, I don't know. I haven't read his stuff about the other animals.
Okay. Well, I think it's weird that he'd talk about all these other animals and just leave this one out. And also, apparently, he didn't like the captain, who was, I can't remember his first name, Bering,
Mm-hmm.
who Bering Strait was named after. And some people think that this ape that was, what was the word, clowning around in the, oh, doing monkey
Yeah.
tricks was actually like a parody of this guy. It was like making fun of him. Because the full scientific name he gave it was, I see, Simnia marina danica. And danica means Danish, and the only Danish person on board was Captain Bering, who he didn't like because he wouldn't let him go on land to like explore
Yeah.
and research animals. Except for one time when he let him go for like 10 hours, but that was all.
Yeah. Well, I think you were doing poor Mr. What's his name? Mr.
Stella?
Stellar. I think you're doing him a disservice by acting like he's so unprofessional that he would make this like weird fan fiction about his
In his personal diary that he didn't show to anyone.
Okay, well, if he wasn't going to show it to anyone, then who ended up reading it? Huh?
It was a private collector
Some
who
private
published it
collector
after
just
his death.
bought his diary. What a creep.
Yeah,
Anyway,
most of his writings were bought by private collectors, apparently.
um, well, however, you have to remember that there was another sighting, at least another sighting, of this animal in June 1965 on the northern coast of Otka Island. They described this creature as also being about 5 feet tall or 1.5 or 5 feet long, 1.5 meters long, having reddish yellow fur and a face resembling that of the dog breed the Shih Tzu with drooping Chinese whiskers, which sounds very similar to how he described his Stellar's sea ape. So, are you saying that all of these people, the secondary
These
group
two
of people,
people.
did they also make it up? They didn't
Secondary
know.
group?
They didn't know.
Wait, how many people? How many
It
people
was
were
like
part
a
of the second
mom and her
sighting?
kid or something. I don't remember. But they didn't know about Stellar's whole like diary entry. So they saw it independently and
How
described
did
it the
they not
same
know?
way because it hadn't been publicized yet or something. I don't know. Or they
Well,
did,
yes, it had.
maybe they didn't
By
read about it.
1965? Maybe they didn't, maybe
they
they did.
weren't big scholars of the Stellar's diaries. They weren't cryptozoologists. They were just two people on a little fun trip to Alaska, and they saw the same thing that Stellar did. Now explain that.
This animal, I don't think, if he'd published it normally, I don't think anyone would have even, like, everyone's like, well, he was too afraid to talk about
He
it.
was
Like,
afraid because it
what?
threatened him.
It didn't threaten him. It was doing monkey
Monkey
tricks.
tricks could be very threatening. Have you never seen what was it? Toy Story 3? That monkey terrifies me, and it should terrify you. Monkeys
I just don't see what's
are
so strange about this animal that he wouldn't have written about
monkeys
it.
are
Like, a Steller sea
menaces.
cow is much more like an impressive creature. A 30-foot long manatee or a seal like
Okay,
creature with
well, here's
whiskers?
some more things. We know that he was very malnourished. His crew was suffering scurvy and things like that at this point in the trip. So perhaps he was too embarrassed by his observations. He thought they were too silly and maybe colored by his own lack of nutrition and his own state of mind. And he thought, I can't publish that because no one will believe me. They'll just be like, oh, he's crazy. He had
Okay,
scurvy.
you said, so according to your theory, Steller himself didn't believe what he
No,
saw
he believed
and
it.
thought he was just too
He believed
malnourished.
it. He just thought other people wouldn't believe him, and it would be too much effort to justify it, and it would be embarrassing for him, especially considering he didn't have the amount of research on it that he would have liked.
How much research did he need? He just made an observation.
I don't know. You ask him. Well, wait, we can't. Hmm.
No, we
We
can't.
can't.
Maybe you can ask that mom and the daughter, the only other people who've ever seen this thing.
Well, I also have some more theories. This goes out of the binary of me pro, you against, but I do think it's possible he saw a fur seal because he hadn't seen
Mm,
one yet. And actually, the description is very similar to a seal. The way they bob up and look at you for a little bit, and then they like playfully swim around. That's such a seal behavior. And the
yeah.
whiskers,
So I was just gonna say, there's a theory by the cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman that it was a deformed fur seal that he saw.
hmm. But I disagree with the deformity because I think it was playful. So if it was really so
Mm,
deformed that it didn't have like fins where it should have had fins or flippers or whatever you want to call
yeah.
them, then that doesn't make sense to me. Should I go over the different theories about what it could be?
Yeah, can I just ask really quick before
Yeah.
you said that? So he hadn't seen a fur seal before then?
No, he hadn't seen one on his trip yet. He saw one later and then he was able to describe it in more detail as a fur seal.
Huh. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Because I was listening to some pro arguments, and someone was saying like, you would have known if it was a fur seal,
Yeah, he would have known later.
but
He
like,
would have been like, oh yeah, that's the
yeah,
same animal, but maybe he sort of forgot about it. Again, because I think he really wasn't in his right mind.
and it was a month and a half later when he
Yeah.
wrote about it
And
in
I
his
think it's
diary.
possible, like, whether he was making it up to make fun of the captain or not. I mean, that could be one theory, but it also could be that he did see a fur seal and he was like, haha, it looks sort of like the captain. He's goofing off. And he's just like,
Yeah.
either he's just having a fun time or he's like a little bit malnourished and stuff. And he's like, oh, that's not a really good observation. I don't really know
Hmm.
how true that is. But later he sees the fur seals and he's like, now I'll make some good scientific observation. Anyway, So here are some more theories, some things that other people have said it might have been throughout the years. Some people said, "Oh, I just saw a snake," which is weird. Um,
That's so weird.
some people thought it was a turtle. Some people said it was a dog-headed mermaid, which is just
Terrifying.
wow. Manatee, which is actually interesting because considering he did discover the stellar sea cow later, like imagine if there was just a smaller version of the stellar sea cow that he saw that we've never been able to see
Like a
again.
juvenile.
Like maybe a juvenile or maybe a smaller species that wasn't discovered, you know? That's
Hmm.
an interesting one. An undiscovered leopard seal relative. So leopard seals are in the South Pole. They eat penguins. And they're the only seal apparently that swims with their foreflippers pressed against their body so that they're not visible if you were looking from a ship. Other seals, they you could see
Oh,
their fins.
interesting.
So maybe there's a leopard seal relative that lives in the north. I could see that, especially considering the amount of marine wildlife there was at that time. Like they could be eating the great auk, which is the niche equivalent of the penguin.
Hmm.
Some people thought it was a vagrant Hawaiian monk seal, which would have been a bit cold for them, but I don't know. This was a theory I saw one person put. I don't remember who it was, but they thought it was a juvenile Basilosaurus. You should put a picture of that up. I was like, I laughed out loud when I saw that. Like, oh my God, imagine.
Yeah.
Another person thought it was an undiscovered long neck seal, which apparently another biologist had theorized existed before.
Bernard Heuvelmans, is
I
it?
don't know. I didn't write any of these names down.
Okay.
Then there's the northern fur seal theory, the malformed fur seal theory, which I don't think is true because of the problems with how active it was swimming. But if you're looking at a picture of a northern fur seal and saying that doesn't fit, you should look at a picture of a female because apparently the females have the right size and coloring that the males don't. They have the reddish fur and the gray back and the smaller size. And then finally, the theory that it's just a joke about Bering, Captain Bering, who had a weird beard. But
I feel like it's probably something, but combined with the
yeah,
joke.
I feel like he saw like a seal playing and he wasn't really sure because he couldn't see it too well. And he was just like, it looks sort of like the captain. That's my uh un that's my real opinion about it.
Yeah. Because I feel like if he really did think it was this animal, he would have written something official about it.
Yeah. But you should put these pictures, like the pictures of the sea ape are so interesting. And I also saw one thing that said that people believed in sea apes a long time before this even happened, but that was I only saw it mentioned once in a caption of a picture. And it didn't seem, I don't know what evidence there's for that, because it also said that at that time they called it the Simnia marina danica, which, according to the other sources I saw, Steller came up with that name himself. So I do not
Yeah, that's what
believe
I
that there
thought.
were people way a long time ago before Linnaeus was going around. Like before Linnaeus's time, they weren't,
Using the
yeah, they weren't
same.
calling this animal the sea ape, the Danica. So, because what I saw in the caption was that Danish sailors had discovered the sea ape and had named it the Danish sea ape, which I don't know who wrote that caption. I think they're wrong. But apparently that was the picture. I put it first here. It has like horrible, freaky creatures. Apparently that was the Danish notes. I don't believe it.
Hmm.
Oh, there's also, yeah, if you look up sea ape, it's a disambiguation page on Wikipedia. The common thresher apparently can also be called a sea ape. It's a type of shark. I don't see how it looks like an ape at all,
Oh,
but maybe
I
that's what he
don't know.
saw.
Some of these theories are.
Maybe he just saw a common
Some of
thresher.
these. No, I think he saw a snake.
I think he saw a basilosaurus.
A snake doing monkey
He saw a
tricks.
basilosaurus and a snake doing a ballet together.
Okay, should we move on?
Yeah, at first I want to look up more about the common thresher. It is not found in Alaska, so there's no reason for them to be affiliated with each other. Okay, go on.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel for full episodes or download the MP3 from the links below.